I'm Tommy Carroll, and this is my family tree story. My mom's family goes pretty much the direct route that goes back through Iowa farming straight to Germany. I know at least my great-grandparents were in Iowa. I want to say it was at least 4 generations back. Certainly, nobody was in Europe in the 1900s. So kind of going straight back to Germany, into the 1800s. And yeah, both my grandparents, who I never really even got to know personally, they died when I was quite young. They grew up in small Iowa towns, single one-room schoolhouse, kind of classic Americana imagery. And my grandpa actually had this choice to go off and maybe be a professional baseball player. But my grandma was like, yeah, you can either do that or you can stay here with me. And so he went back into the family business of farming and farmed I think mostly cows and some grains and stuff like that. Pretty classic Iowa upbringing. And that's when my mom came along. And she never took to that life. And my grandma on our side always encouraged her, like, hey, do what you can. If you can get out, get out. It's great here and nice here. And over the course of my, having visited Chicago as a child, that was kind of a place where she set her sights, and she went off to college, got a degree in accounting, and went to go work in the big city, where she met my dad, who his family goes back to a not totally different kind of upbringing in the Midwest. The Carroll family identifies most strongly with Ireland and the Southwest side, Irish Catholic kind of association, but more definitely if you actually do the genealogy and stuff, it kind of goes back to some Ireland, some German, I think some Swede, mixed European. But yeah, my grandma and grandpa met in Minnesota, and that's when my dad ended up being born actually coincidentally in Iowa. And they moved around the Midwest because my grandpa worked for the American Medical Association, and he'd also been a Korean War vet. But yeah, they moved around all Midwest. So my family is totally Midwest and coming from the more outskirts and uniting in Chicago. And now that's what allowed me to grow up on, the north side of Chicago and in the north suburbs, which is an incredibly fortunate place to grow up. And I always say that my family, it's like a perfect example of white privilege and kind of how the system works. Like nobody in my family was an oil CEO or a big mining company person. Nobody was in charge, but just because they worked reasonably hard and nothing went wrong. No one did anything actively wrong. It was just like you sell the farmland in the case of my mom's side, and you go off and that money passes on and you're already making money because you're working in the city, and everything just kind of stacked up in a way that we didn't grow up like phenomenally wealthy, like chartering jets or anything like that, but we were certainly able to vacation. Me and my brother and sister were able to kind of get essentially whatever we wanted within reason. And that's just because we were set on this trajectory that started with land and being allowed to just farm the land, and eventually kind of proceeded up through the more kind of, my parents were able to work more in like management side things. Well, my dad actually went into construction after working in finance for a little bit. And so I think when I went to college and kind of started realizing how I kind of feel like I had everything kind of fed to me, I actually did kind of resent, I started learning through the experiences of friends from college and work with different backgrounds, and just also learning academically, like how stuff was unfair. I kind of started to have this like resentful attitude, like, man, like this, I didn't really come from any culture, it's just the culture of money and stuff. But over time, especially as an artist, I'm a musician who kind of digs into what I do and needing to kind of, you know, tap into my emotions. I realize that there is a lot of this upbringing that I'm actually proud of. It might not be I might not be coming from a diverse place, but I think the kind of Midwestern way back to Germany kind of culture does have something, and that's just kind of a steadfast, rugged, kind of hardworking humbleness and kind of openness. Yeah, I know most people from this background, or many people from the background, may not, you know, have as much interface with the rest of the world. You know, we do grow up like in a very white situation, but I think my kind of goal as I go as an artist and just a citizen is to kind of bring this kind of down home Midwest mentality that I am proud of to the world directly through my art, through how I treat people, through how I interact in my community. Because although it is a very, you know, I definitely drew the lucky straw in what DNA I was born, I do think that I've learned to really appreciate it rather than feel like it was a cheat code, even though, well, it is kind of a cheat code, but you know, I think there are, as we go forward in this society, I think there is the down home Midwestern way does have a lot to offer, and I have become quite not shameful of it anymore. I'm Tommy Carroll. This has been my family tree story, and I'm so grateful you are now a part of it.